Okay, I think we need to stop at this. Stop. Because that's not Kathak what you saw. These were the dances of the courtesans, and we saw from the time lapse of the Mughal Empire and until now, the glimpses of which has been shown in the Bollywood. That's not Kathak. Many people think Kathak is a dance form of the Muslims, and Kathak, as seen in the films, are the truest art form of the country. No. Let me tell you something what happened to me many years ago. I was invited to a late evening party where my friend invited you come around 9 o'clock in the night, and there'd be a lot of people gathering there. And when I went to his house, I saw there's a group of young people. I thought I was a misfit in this young group because I was already old with white hair, balding head. And my host introduced to that young group as, meet Mr. Mysore B Nagaraj. He's a Kathak dancer. I did not expect this reaction from the youngsters there. Some of them turned around and they said hi and turned away. Not even a simple sentence, hi, how are you? What kind of Indian dance? Where do you come from? No, absolutely nothing. They just turned the face away. This was a sort of little painful for me, but I just let my anger cool down, my frustration cool down, but I couldn't be there for long with that feeling, so I caught hold of a youngster and asked him, why do you have this feeling for Indian classical dance? When I was introduced as a Kathak dancer, why was this rejection of me? This young man had the audacity and the gumption to say, Indian classical dance, it's a big bore. We don't like it. This is not our times of dance. I asked, okay, what's the kind of dance do you like? No, we need in our dance and music something which has a lot of pep in it, a lot of rhythm in it, and that's entertaining. That's the kind of dance, not this dance of the courtesans, and that's not the kind of dance. I said, okay, can you tell me some more about what's the kind of music you like? At those times, the popular form of music was the, rap music. And I asked him, can you give me an example of the rap which you so much appreciate as against the beautiful classical forms? He said something like this. I'm not very sure of the words, but it sounded like this. If you want to be happy in your life, never have a pretty woman your wife. If you want to be happy in your life, have an ugly woman your wife. This is from the personal point of view. Have an ugly woman your wife. Wow, I did not clap for that. I said, okay, this reminds me of something what my teacher was taught me, and then I have been doing this. And I said, Nirtatanand natana chum chananana tachum tachum tat tikda dikta liye rang sab saka sang man me umang tak katangata shailat vijumelat lapak japak radha lalita chandravali liyo goru rana goru sara gor banawari mai hari jajari are mai hari jajari. And this young person turned around and his mouth was, cool, man, you know rap music? I said, yes, my Indian rap music more than 600 years old. Then another head turned, another head turned, another head turned. And they said, wow, it's interesting. So we had rap music in our country, in our culture. I said, yes, more than 1,000 years old. Can you say something? So that started the evening, and I went on, outpour of all these kavits from my classical art of Kathak. I said, Indian culture is so beautiful. There are so many things the West is yet to explore, or rather we have all the answers which the West is yet to ask for. But then they started, why, now the interest came that you are a classical dancer, why did you take it up? How old are you? I think I was about 59 then, now I'm 63. I said, I was 59. I started very late in my life, almost when I was 30 years. What? Parents put the children at the age of 5, at the age of 4, and they expect even a 2-year-old to go and do a Ranga Pravesha or a Arangetram. You say you started at the age of 30? I said, yes, it's the time when a dancer retires. I went in to start my first dancing feet. How? That's because I went along with the wishes of my parents. My father wanted me to become an engineer, which I became. I graduated as a civil engineering, and then I went into my family business, and my parents were very happy. My Prince of Wales is grown. He's going to take my business empire and I'm going to relax, is what my dad thought. I said, Dad, I think I have done what you wanted me to do, and you're happy with my work with you. But there's something echoing in the corridors of my soul. The sense of rhythm, the melody which floats around me, is drawing me towards something else. Then he told me, yes, my son, I knew this, you have this in you. And one day, when you used to come from the school, when you were just 6-year or 7-year-old, you would run across the roads and there used to be a dance class. You would go hold on to the railings, climb on the plinth, and then look into the room where these little girls with pink ribbons on their plates, they were dancing, and I was totally drowned in the beauty of dance and music. And he came, he pulled my ears in the middle of the road, slapped me hard, and threatened me he's going to break my legs if he is going to come again to this dance class. That fear of being broken of my legs and being slapped in the middle of the street, I took it very seriously and never took to dance until I was 30-year-old. But that urge went on. I became a dancer, and then from little footsteps to graduating to proficiency level, which also took me outside the country. And I remember this when I went to Norway. For the first time I went outside the borders of my country. I wanted to show and share the art of Indian classical dance, especially the Kathak. So I went on stage, the music came on, and I stood like that. And well, you know what this means. My hands will indicate that there's a flute and that I might be portraying the role of a Krishna. Or if I held a veil and then drew the veil out, probably that was Radha. But this did not go well in Norway because they did not know India. They did not know what an Indian looks like. They thought I will come there with a lot of colors on my face and a peacock feather stuck in my hair. I have snakes in my baggage. And they were disappointed that I could even speak English like that. The lady said I could speak English so well, better than the Norwegians. But then I thought if I'm not communicating, which is the very essence of Kathak dance, it's a waste of time. I thought I was a failure. I thought my journey was a big mistake. But then next day, my hostess took me to a popular picnic spot or a tourist spot, especially a island called the Grip Island, where nobody lives but for a church on the top of the hill. And she told me the story, why people aren't there anymore, that there was a fishing village, there was an old man who forecasted a giant wave is going to lash against this island. He warned all the fishermen not to celebrate, not to get drunk, be safe, come up on the uphill. But nobody listened to this old man, and the sea rose, and the entire village was drowned, and only this man, old man, and all those who listened to his words went up to the church, closed the church doors, and prayed. And they were the only survivors of that stormy night. When I heard this story, in the next performance, I did this story. There was no script. no poetry, no music, no nothing, just myself and the jingle bells, or rather the ankle bells around my leg, and then I unfolded the story in front of the Norwegians. At the end of it, people came towards me, and especially one lady said, "You have no sets, you have no music, you have no co-dancers with you, and you had no poetry, you had nothing, but the way your hands moved, the sea, the way the floods, the ways the scared people, and the death, the women clinging to the babies to the breast in fear of being drowned, all that you enacted so well. You showed our story to us without any language. And you know what? I was one of the person in the church that day, and I could relate to your story. What a beautiful dance you did." I thought, that's the power of Indian classical dance. And especially Kathak. Kathak has its root from the word katha. Kathan kahe so Kathak kahave. That means when you tell a story, that is Kathak. The art of storytelling was Kathak. And I think I did the right job of coming all the way to Norway, almost closer to the North Pole, to tell their story in my art form. I thought, mission accomplished. Thank you. But then, this was the genesis of my dance. How I took up, because there was passion in me. The academically trained subject, though it gave me scientific bent of mind, it did help me in many moments of decision making in my performances. But still, the passion has now become a profession for me, and I'm so lucky to make my passion my profession, which I lead young aspirants in the art of Indian classical dance. But then what dance? Kathak. Now I would like to go to the genesis of Kathak. As I said, Kathak is the art of telling stories, and these were also called Katha Vachakas, Kathika, Kahuga, and so many other names. And you can find reference of this even in the Buddhist manuscripts, in the Jain manuscripts, and definitely in the Hindu manuscripts. Dance was also as an act of worship as prescribed in the Samaveda, because music was also a part of the Samaveda. But later, the Mahabharata also says when Arjuna went out for the wars and he took some people along with him, because after the war ended at the sunset and right through the night, these musicians, dancers and kathikas would sit and narrate great stories of victory. That way the soldiers were encouraged, their spirit had risen so that they were fit to fight when the sun rose the next morning. So the essence of Kathak, or the art of storytelling, was to awaken that energy and enthusiasm in life. So also, when you come to Ramayana, and then you know Sita and Ram's children, Lava and Kusha, when they heard the story of Ram, though they did not know that Ram was their father, and when they went to Ram's court and they narrated the story of Ram, and that was another beginning of the art of storytelling. So it was also called Kusha Lava Geet. Kathak has another name. But then, apart from these references in Indian literature, Puranas and all that, but let's come to reality. Let me take you back into the times when language did not exist, when spoken words were not yet evolved. There were men, women in the cave. And you can see they had painted pictures of, stick pictures of the hunting scene, and then they would gather the children around the fire and they would point out and do actions like a tiger or like a monkey or like a bird. And then do the action of the arrow or a spear and killing. So the hunting scene was enacted in the evening to teach the children. Well, that's an art of communication. That was a method of teaching the younger generation. Probably that is where the hand gestures, movements were used to express. I would not say they're right when, say, classical dance has its roots in the dramaturgy treatise of Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra, but the Natya Shastra writer Bharata Muni and his disciples, probably they were sitting and observing the society around them, people, their behavior, their culture, and started codifying, like doing research and codifying. And then they compiled all this information and created a treatise on communication expression, which became a reference for theater. But back, the culture grew. From the caveman, he evolved into a higher level of his existence, and when he became aware that he was somebody very special, he was not an animal anymore, and there was something called consciousness, then he realized there was unconsciousness, there is subconsciousness, there is superconsciousness. That's when spirituality set in. That's where these art of storytelling and spiritual content started coming together. And thus, the Katha Vachanas evolved essentially to awaken the spiritual feeling and thus bring about a beautiful ecstasy of spiritual bliss by listening. What did these Kathaks do? They would travel from town to town, village to village, and then collect people under the banyan tree and then tell stories from the Puranas. People would listen to them. When telling a story, see, if I'm coming here and giving a talk on TED, how much I'm using my hands, my movements, my facial expression, it was very natural for the Katha Vachakas to use these minor limbs to make the communication more effective. So dance, what is dance? Is use of space to time and some sort of a conveyance of meaning. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the genesis of my journey into dance and the art by itself. I hope you enjoyed this talk, and I hope it was informative and encouraging. Thank you.